Good morning, everyone. So, in our last class, we have finished till small intestine, right? We have learned that digestion is only seen till small intestine, and after small intestine, there will be no digestion. Yeah. After digestion, what is the next step? Absorption. So, from the next organ, large intestine, absorption will start. Absorption and assimilation. Yeah. So, today we'll try to finish this chapter. So let's start today's class. Okay, so in our last class we have learned that in small intestine digestion occurs, and also in a major part what happens? Absorption occurs, right? So all the digested food get absorbed there. After that, what happens? The food will now move to large intestine. So did you know small intestine is larger in length? It's about 6 meters than the large intestine, and which is about 1.5 meter. So your small intestine, even though the name says it's small, yes, it's small. How it's small? In the diameter. The diameter of the small intestine is very small. It's like your middle finger, yeah? It's about that big in the wide, but according to its length is very long. Yeah, it's larger than the large intestine also. So its its length will be about 6 meters, or sometimes 6 to 7.6 meters in adults. Yeah. So the small intestine, if usually our small intestine, how does we see the small intestine? It remains coiled like this, right? It remains coiled. So if you take the small intestine and if you put it in a straight line, elongate it, what will happen? You will see that the small intestine is very long. It's about 20 to 25 feet, or you can say that it's about 6 to 7.6 meters. Yeah, so it's very long. Yeah, but on the other hand, the large intestine is not that long. Yeah, its diameter is big comparatively to the small intestine. Small intestine will be like this, a little bit, in fact very much small. Yeah, but the large intestine, the diameter of the large intestine is huge, and the length of the large intestine is also less. Now we'll come to the large intestine. So what is large intestine? Large intestine has no digestive function to carry out. As I have already explained that the digestion will be stopped here. Now absorption and assimilation will be occurred. It helps in absorbing water from the undigested food material. So here what will be absorbed? Water. One of the most important thing that is absorbed in large intestine, it's what? It is water. So water will be absorbed from the undigested food. So as the food will start moving from small intestine to the large intestine, you will see, yeah, like this. Yes, somehow this, like this. Yeah, so actually it starts from here, not this. Yeah, so when the food moves from the small intestine to the large intestine, what happens? On its way, throughout its way, what happens? The water content gets absorbed. Yeah, and also to some extent mineral salts also gets absorbed here. Yeah, so all the water gets absorbed in the large intestine, and what will happen? The undigested food starts to get, it solidifies. Yeah, this, it will get more solidified. As soon as the food moves more and more deeper the large intestine, the undigested food will lose its water content. So all the water will be absorbed in the large intestine. it is, so what is absorbed here? Here water is absorbed. It helps in absorbing water from the undigested food material. So this is about the large intestine. After the large intestine, what will happen? The undigested food will reach rectum. The undigested waste material passes into the rectum, where it is stored as a semi-solid feces. The fecal matter is passed out through the anus. So after the large intestine, after the food passes to the large intestine, it will get stored in the rectum. So it will get stored in the rectum. Yeah, the food will pass and it will be stored in the rectum. So the undigested food will pass to the rectum and it will come out through anus. And this is rectum. Yeah, and here your digestion process along with absorption, assimilation and egestion is over. Yeah, so now these were the organs related to your digestive system. Here, next we will learn about two special organs related to the digestive system. They are what? Liver and pancreas. So these are special organs connected. Okay, please underline this line in the large intestine. Yeah, the second line. So you'll be able to remember that in large intestine, what is absorbed? Water is being absorbed. Okay, so liver and pancreas. So what are liver and pancreas? They are special organs connected with the digestive system. The liver secretes what? The bile juice, which helps in digestion of fats and is stored in a small bag called the gallbladder. So please underline this line. The liver secretes bile juice, which helps in digestion of fats and is stored in a small bag called the gallbladder. Underline that line. So liver is a special organ. Here you can see the picture. You can also see from your book. So this is liver. Can you see? It is in fact the largest organ. Liver is the largest gland present in your body. Okay. So liver, what does liver do? The liver and the pancreas, they play a very important part in your digestive system. Yeah, how they play an important part? Now we will know about that. So why are they important? Because liver, what does liver do? It will secrete a juice. What is the name of the juice? It's bile juice. Yeah, and why is this bile juice very important? Because it helps in the digestion of what? Fats. Yeah, and it's stored in a small bag called, this is stored in a bag which is known as gallbladder. Understood? So this is why liver is very, very important in the digestive system. In the picture you can see the gallbladder here. Can you see? This is the gallbladder. Here what is present? It stores bile juice. Yeah, and why is bile juice important in digestive system? Because what? Because it helps in the digestion of fats. Yes. Now we will learn about pancreas. So pancreas is a gland located just below the stomach. Yeah, below the stomach. In the picture you can see. So here you can see this is the stomach, and below the stomach you can see this leaf-like organ. Yeah, there's a gland. It resembles a leaf, and that is what? Pancreas. So this is the pancreas, which is present below the stomach. This is the stomach. Yeah. Now, why is pancreas important in digestive system? Pancreas is important because it secretes a very important substance known as insulin, and also a juice. Insulin. Why is insulin important? Insulin is important for regulating blood sugar levels. Underline this line. It secretes a substance called insulin. Insulin, underline the next line also. Insulin is important for regulating blood sugar level in the body. This line, this two lines, please underline the two lines. It secretes a substance called insulin, and insulin is important for regulating blood sugar level in the body. Underline that two line. So insulin, so why is pancreas important? This guy over here, it's important in the digestive system because it secretes what? Insulin and also pancreatic juice. Yeah. So the insulin is important because it regulates what? Sugar level in our body. And it also secretes a juice. What is that juice? That is named as pancreatic juice. Yeah. And why is pancreatic juice important? Because pancreatic juice helps in the digestion of what? Proteins, and then fats, and then starch. Yeah. So pancreatic juice is important because it acts on the three things: protein, fats, and starch. That is why pancreas is important for our body, because it secretes two things. What was the two things? Pancreatic juice and insulin. Insulin regulates the sugar levels, and pancreatic juice helps in the digestion of protein, fats, and starch. So that is why both liver and pancreas are very important, are the special organs. Yeah, they are mentioned as the special organs, and they are very important in our digestive system. What will happen if there is you have no, suppose you are not able to produce enough insulin? What will happen? So if there is no insulin in your body, or if there is insufficient production of insulin in your body, what will happen? You will get a disease that is known as diabetes. I think most of you are very familiar with the name. Yeah. So what is diabetes? Diabetes is caused when insulin is not being produced in our body. So the blood sugar level in our body, it cannot be broken down further, and that is why the sugar level of our body becomes high and we get the disease known as diabetes. So that is why insulin is very important. Now you see how pancreas is important in our digestive system. Yeah. Now, so this was the two special glands. Okay, underline this line also. The pancreatic juice acts on the proteins, starch, and fat and changes them into simpler forms. So the pancreatic juice will break down the proteins, fats, and starch into simpler form. So these were the two organs related to our digestive system. Yeah. So did you know liver is the largest gland in the body? So I have already told you that liver is the largest gland present in our body. Yeah. We have other glands also in our body that you will learn in higher classes. So in the chapter, if we have to summarize the points, this table will help you a lot to remember whatever you have learned about digestion. So in the beginning of the first chapter, in this chapter, what we learned about what? Ingestion. What is ingestion? It was feeding. Ingestion means taking in the food. So taking in a food or derived directly or indirectly from plants through mouth. So ingestion was nothing but the taking in of food. Yeah. Next, after ingestion, after you take the food, what will happen? It will get processed into digestion. So the next step, digestion will occur. What was digestion? It is the breakdown of the food into simpler forms. Yeah. So it happens, the digestion starts in where? What was the first organ? It was the mouth. So the digestion gets start in the mouth. Yeah. And then the stomach, and then the small intestine. So in the small intestine, the digestion, the role of digestion gets over. After that, what happens? The next process will start. What is the next process? It is absorption. So digested food is absorbed through membranes, through various organs. Yeah. So after digestion, what will happen? The food is being digested. After digestion, the food will, the necessary nutrients will now be absorbed through our body. Yeah. The membranes of various organs will absorb the necessary nutrients. So which organs support absorption? Small intestine. Yeah, very very important. Most of the absorption happens in small intestine, and then also large intestine, because it absorbs water. Yeah. Next, after absorption, what will happen? Whatever the body has absorbed, the food will now be transferred to all the body parts, isn't it? And that is what? Nothing but assimilation. So all the nutrients that will be absorbed now will be assimilated. Yeah. So absorbed food is incorporated into the cell components. So what is the main aim of digestion, of eating food? So that we can get energy. How we will get energy? Only if the nutrients are equally supplied to the cells. Yeah. So all the nutrients have to be delivered to the cells, and the cells will do their activity. Yeah. They will provide us energy and other important processes that happens. Yeah. So that is assimilation. After assimilation, what will happen? Digestion. So whatever food was left undigested, that will be now excreted through anus. Yeah. And here the story of digestion ends. Yeah. So these are the 5 steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and what is the last step? Egestion. So in this 5 step, you can summarize the process of digestion. Yeah. Now we can learn some features of digestion. So the salient features of digestion in humans are, what is the first characteristics of digestion in humans? That the digestion happens in human is extracellular. In the first period only, I have explained what is extracellular. If the digestion occurs, extra means what? Outside. So if the digestion is happening outside the cell, yeah, then we call it what? Extracellular. If it happens inside the cell, then we call it what? Intracellular. Yeah. Intra means within and cellular means cell. So if the digestion happens inside the cell, that means it's intracellular. Where can we see this type of digestion? In the unicellular organisms, like what? Like amoeba. Yeah. Next, it involves many organs. So these characteristics are very important. Okay, please mark it as underline. Okay, mark it as important. Yeah. So it involves many organs. What are the organs that are associated with the digestion? What was the first organ? Mouth. Next one is esophagus, then stomach, then intestine, and then the anus. So remember the diagram. If you remember the diagram, all this process will be easy for you to understand. Yeah, you'll be able to tell everything. So these are the organs related to the digestive system. Next, the process of digestion involves what? What were the steps? Ingestion. Yeah, ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. So these are the 5 steps related to digestion. A number of organic compounds called digestive juices or enzymes are involved in the process of digestion. So we have seen that there are many digestive juices or enzymes related in our digestive system because they help in the breakdown of different components like carbohydrates, then fats, proteins. All of these are broken down because of the help of this digestive juices or digestive enzymes. So they have given you a very beautiful table here. You can see the table. So if you remember this table, you will be able to understand it more nicely. So can you see all the the first column, they have given the part of the digestive system, which part is related, and the enzyme or the digestive juices, then the food acted upon or the products form. So here in the first one, so what is the part here? The first one is mouth. So the first organ where digestion occurs, what was that? It was mouth. And in mouth or in the buccal cavity, what is the juice that is being secreted? We all know that is saliva. And in saliva, what is the enzyme that's present there? Amylase. And what is the role of the amylase? It acts upon the starch. Amylase acts upon starch. And after amylase acts upon the starch is now being produced into sugar. Next, stomach. In stomach we get what? Gastric juice. And in the gastric juice we get an enzyme that's known as pepsin. And pepsin, in the name itself you can understand. P for pepsin, P for proteins. And it will act upon what? Protein. And protein is now will be converted into what? Peptides and amino acids. Next, after the stomach, the food will now reach what is the next organ that will help? The next organ is pancreas. And in pancreas, what is secreted? The very important one, pancreatic juice. And in the pancreatic juice we get a lot of enzymes, so like trypsin, amylase, lipase. So all of these are secreted, and the pancreatic juice will help in to digest proteins, starch and fats. And proteins will be converted into amino acids, starch will be converted into maltose, and fats will be converted into fatty acids and glycerol. So this is the role of the pancreatic juice. Next, what is the next organ? Small intestine. In the small intestine, the intestinal juice is being secreted. There also we find several enzymes like maltase, sucrase. There are many enzymes, but they are not important like the amylase and pepsin. So for now you have to remember only these two enzymes. In a higher class you will get all these enzymes, lactase, peptidase. So intestinal juice helps to digest what? Partially digested proteins and carbohydrates. So whatever was not digested by the proteins will now be digested by the small intestine. Understood? And now it will be again converted into glucose and other simple sugars from carbohydrates. So carbohydrates will be converted into glucose and sugars, amino acids from proteins. So proteins will be again broken down to amino acids. So whatever is not digested by the pancreatic juice will now be completely digested by the intestinal juice. Understood? So and all the substrates will be broken down into their simpler forms. So these are the juices and the digestive parts that helps in digestion. Now, the small intestine in a man is about 20 feet long. It is the main organ for absorption of digested food. As I have already said that the small intestine plays a large role in absorption. Yeah, and it's very long. It's about 20 feet long, or 6 to 7.6 meters long. The inner surface of small intestine has a number of finger-like projections called villi. Underline this line till villi. Okay, so this also I have explained in the previous class. That, can you see this picture? So imagine this is the small intestine. Yeah, so if you zoom, suppose take this part and you zoom in, yeah, the inside part. So this is the wall of the small intestine, and there will be the second wall of the small intestine. So you can imagine the picture and as this way. Okay, yeah, this way. So they have taken only a single layer, huh? So we will remove this layer, and now you imagine. So this, can you see this finger like things? They resemble your fingers, right? So our small intestine is made up of this finger like projections. Yeah, they are known as villi. So this finger like, your small intestine is all made with this villis. Yeah, you will find so many finger like projections here in both the walls. Yeah, so these are the villis. So this villis plays a very important role in your absorption. Yeah, so if you take a villi and cut from the middle, you will get this view. Yeah, so here, can you see the blood capillaries here? Yeah, so all the absorbed food, so the villi will absorb all the food, and the absorbed food will now be sent in the bloodstream, and it will be carried through the bloodstream to and will be delivered to the cells. So this is the role of the villi. This villi increase the surface area for absorption of digested food. The absorbed food is then carried by blood to different parts of the body for blending into cell components. This is assimilation of absorbed food. So when the food is being carried to the cells, and when the cells use them for different activities, that is what assimilation. The undigested food is excreted out through anus as feces. So this also you have understood, that whatever left is being excreted by the anus. Yeah. So here you can see in the box we got a new topic, and that's about tooth decay. Yeah. So what is tooth decay? Teeth are commonly seen to become yellow and suffer from cavity formation. So you can find different types of advertisers of Colgates given in your TVs, your mobiles. Yeah, you can see all the advertisers. So they will say that you have so the Colgate is, the toothpaste is actually very good for it will not let cavity happen in your teeth. Yeah, so they advertise you like this. So what is cavity? Actually, what is that? So when does it happen? When this cavity happens? It happens when food is eaten and small amounts are left in between the teeth. This also in the various advertises you can see. Yeah. So saliva and bacteria present on the mouth stick to the teeth and form a sticky film. This sticky film is called dental plaque. The enzymes produced by the bacteria act on the food particles, particularly sugars and acids are produced. The acid dissolve the tooth enamel and causing tooth decay. Ultimately, a hole or cavity is formed in the tooth. So here you can see the picture. So what happens? Sometimes you will eat something, yeah, and you will not brush your teeth at night. Yeah, you will skip that one. And also sometimes if the foods are being left in the teeth, suppose there is some food left on your teeth, yeah, and what will happen? This will be infected by bacteria, and when bacteria gets formed, what happen? It will form sugars. The bacteria will eat upon the food left, yeah, and acids will be formed, yeah. The bacteria will produce enzymes, and those enzymes will react with the enamel. So the upper part of the teeth is known as what? Enamel, yeah. So suppose this is your teeth, this is your teeth, and this is the gum, yeah. So this portion, the portion that you can see, that is crown. That portion is known as crown, and it is made up of what? It is made up of enamel. It is the hardest substance in the body, yeah. It's stronger than your bones also. So enamels are very strong, but when they are reacted with the enzymes, the acids, they get erode, yeah, they erodes. And then what happens? So the acid will dissolve away your tooth enamel, causing tooth decay, yeah. So the tooth will start decaying, yeah. The tooth will start decaying. Then what will happen? Ultimately a hole or cavity is formed in the teeth. So when the tooth starts decaying, so here you will get a hole. So a hole will be formed in the enamel. Next, plague affects the gums too, causing gum disease. The gums swell and may bleed on brushing. So this disease, this tooth decay will further go inside, and it will affect your gums, yeah. Here you have the gums, here you will have another portion, and that's what? It's dentine, yeah. And now when the plague reach here, you will feel a little bit of pain. Now here you will see, yeah, when you brush, sometimes you will see that you are bleeding, your teeth are bleeding, yeah. So that happens when you have the gum disease. That means your tooth decay has reached your gum. The plaque builds up in the region where the teeth meets the gums and forms a space. Bacteria growing in the space cause the teeth to fall. So when the decay gets deeper and deeper, here you can see the picture. Here you can see the picture. At first it was a little bit here in the first picture. Next here the plague went deeper. So dentine becomes affected and you will have a slight toothache. Yeah. Next, what will happen in the third picture? You can see tooth decay spreads to the pulp. So this pink portion you can see here. You will have here what you will have. You will have the connective tissues. Yeah. So there you will have the tissues. So that is why when the decay reaches the pulp, that means the connective tissue, you will feel severe toothache. Yeah, your teeth will pain a lot. After that, what will happen if the bacteria reaches the base of the tooth? This is the base of the tooth. Yeah, here the roots, we call it also what? Root section. Yeah. So if the bacteria reach the base of the tooth, causing an abscess, unbearable pain, tooth may have to be removed. So if this happens, this is the severe condition. So if this happens, if you go to the dentist, what they will do? They will have to remove the tooth. They will not be able to save your tooth, and you will have to remove your tooth. So this is about tooth decay. So plaque formation and other diseases may be avoided. So how can you avoid this? How can you avoid tooth decay? Yeah. So if you like your teeth, you have to remember these things. What you have to remember? The first thing is not eating foods like sweets, chocolates and ice creams. Yeah. You should avoid eating these things. Cleaning teeth after eating sweets, sticky food, and next one is So you have to clean your teeth, okay? Whenever you eat something sweet or sticky, please clean your teeth. After so brushing teeth thoroughly and regularly every day in the morning and again before going to the bed with a brush. And dental floss. What is dental floss? It is a special strong thread which is moved through two teeth to remove trapped food particles. Okay, this one I think the adults can do, but for you have to brush twice a day. Yeah. Damn sure that most of you do not brush your teeth before going to the bed. So if you do not do that, you will have to remove your teeth. If you do not want to remove your teeth, please brush twice a day. Okay. Next, using fluoride toothpaste. So use toothpaste that contains fluoride and which is good for your teeth also. Yeah. So this is about tooth decay. Next, we will understand a very important part. So previously we learned digestion in what? Humans, right? Now we will learn digestive system in ruminants 2.5. Yeah. So what are ruminants? What is ruminants actually? Yeah. So have you seen a cow or a buffalo chewing the grass or fodder given to them? So what are ruminants? Ruminants means those who, all the ruminants are actually herbivores. That means they eat what the herbivores eat? They eat plants. Yeah. So ruminants like what? Sheep, deer or cow. Yeah. So let's take the example of cow here. Yeah. So if you have ever seen a cow, you will know what the cow does. Most of the time you will see the cow, whether you will see the cow standing. Yeah, standing, what the cow will do? It will eat the grass. Yeah, grazing. So you will always find a cow, either the cow will be standing or it will be sitting down. Yeah. So while sitting down, what you will see? You will see that your cow is chewing. If you have ever noticed this, you will see the cow will always chew while sitting down. Yeah, or resting. So this is the two things that the cow mostly does. Yeah. So this chewing part is actually a very important part of their digestive system, and this chewing is known as what? Also we call it what? Rumination. Okay, here you can see rumination. Yeah. So this is what we will be learning about the digestive system. So the animals who get this process, who possess this process, are known as ruminants. Yeah. So I think in your childhood, or you have ever found your mom or other elders saying that the cow possess 4 stomachs. Have you heard this? Actually this is a myth. Okay, your cow doesn't possess 4 stomach, but actually it's 4 chambers. Yeah. So the chamber of the of the cow is actually divided into 4 chambers. The stomach of the cow, yeah, it's divided into 4 chambers. Actually it doesn't have 4 stomach, it has 4 chambers. Yeah. So these animals quickly eat the fodder, then they relax leisurely and chew whatever they have eaten. This act of chewing is known as chewing cud. Animals like sheep and deer also chew cud. All the animals who chew cud are called ruminants. So I have already mentioned that if you see a ruminant, a cow sitting down, what you will see that the cow is chewing. Yeah, you will continuously see that the cow is chewing while she is sitting down. Yeah. So that process of chewing is known as what? Chewing cud. And all the animals who chew cud are known as what? Ruminants. How is it possible for a ruminant to bring the food back to the mouth from its stomach? So can you do this? Actually the ruminants are what? Superheroes, I think. Yeah. So can you bring the food that is that you have already put in the stomach? You cannot. It will only happen if you vomit, right? So you don't want to vomit. But the ruminants are superheroes. They can bring the food that is being put into the stomach back to their mouth to chew it again. Yeah. So it shows 4 chambers. So this picture here, figure 2.13, can you see the picture? So this is the picture of a ruminant's stomach. Yeah, your stomach was very simple, right? It was like this. Yeah, this was your stomach. We have only one stomach, only one chamber, but the ruminants, they have 4 stomach. Can you see this? So the first chamber, we call it was, it shows 4 chambers. Underline this line till compound stomach, and also underline this line. All the animals who chew cud are called ruminants. This line, and the act of chewing is called chewing cud. This one. Okay, so let's come to the diagram. So the first chamber, what is the name of the first chamber? It's called rumen. Yeah. The second chamber is the reticulum. The third chamber is the omasum, and the fourth chamber is the abomasum. Yeah. So the cow has 4 chambers. The first one is what? Rumen. The second one is reticulum. Third one is omasum, and the fourth one is abomasum. So these are the 4 stomach chambers that a ruminant possess. And such type of stomach, what we call this as a compound stomach. Yeah, it's not simple, it's compound. The food enters the first chamber, the rumen. This chamber is the largest. From here the food enters the second chamber. In these 2 chambers, the food is partially digested and converted into a soft pulp called the cud. When the animal is relaxing, the soft pulpy food or cud from the second chamber is brought back to the mouth. It is now chewed thoroughly, and this is known as the chewing of the cud. The process of chewing cud is called rumination. So what happens at first? The cow will chew the food. Yeah, it will eat the grass. It will only eat. It's like bringing the grass directly to the stomach. It will eat, and without chewing, the food will directly be passed to the first chamber. What is the first chamber? Rumen. And as you can see in the diagram also, rumen is the largest chamber. Yeah, most of the space of the stomach is being covered by rumen. Yeah, so rumen is the largest chamber of the stomach of a ruminant. Yeah, so when the food is being ingested by the cow, it is being directly brought to the rumen, the first chamber, and it is then sent to the second chamber. So the rumen and the reticulum are like the buddies. Yeah, the best friends, the BFFs. Why the BFFs? Because actually they are like the same stomach, but is being partially divided by a muscle. Yeah, so after the food is being transferred in the first chamber, the food get transferred in the second chamber, that is what? Reticulum. After reticulum, in this 2 chambers, what happens? What is the role of these 2 chambers? The food that the cow has eaten is being partially digested. Here they have given also. Here it is being partially digested, and it is being digested and it's being converted into a soft pulp. So the digested food, it is being partially digested, not completely. A little bit digestion happens, and the partially digested food is known as what? Cud. Yeah, so here we have seen the word cud. Yeah, so now you know what is cud. What is cud? So when the food is being sent to the first and second chamber of the ruminant, the food is being partially digested, and the partially digested food is known as what? Cud. When the animal is relaxing, so when you see the cow relaxing, sitting down quietly, you will see what happens. I lost the line. Okay. So when the animal is relaxing, the soft pulpy or cud from the second chamber is brought back to the mouth. So from the second chamber, the food will now be brought back to the mouth of the cow. Understood? Then it is known as, so when the food is brought back from the second chamber to the mouth, that is when we called chewing of the cud. That is chewing cud. When the ruminant chew the cud again, that process we call chewing of the cud. Yeah, and that process of chewing, that is chewing of the cud, and the process is known as what? Rumination. And those animals who does this process rumination, they are known as ruminants. Yeah. So during rumination, what happens? The cud mixes with saliva and becomes a semi-solid paste. So when the cud is being brought back to the mouth, it is being mixed with saliva. Yeah. And it becomes a semi-solid paste. From the mouth, the food is pushed directly into the third chamber. So after the food is being chewed nicely, it will be now directly sent to the third chamber. From the third chamber, the food enters to fourth chamber. So after the third chamber, the food is now being transferred to the fourth chamber. In the fourth chamber, activities of life. In fourth chamber, digestive juices are mixed with the semi-solid food. Digestion of food starts now. From the fourth chamber, the food enters the small intestine. So here you can see the picture. Can you see the picture? So at first the cow will chew the food, yeah, and then it will be sent to the rumen, the largest chamber. After that, what will happen? The food will be converted into cud, yeah. Then from the reticulum, can you see? From the reticulum, the food is being again brought back to the mouth, where what happens? Rumination happens. Or what happens in the rumination? Chewing of the cud happens. Yeah. Next, after rumination, what happens? The food is being chewed nicely, mixed with saliva, and it's being converted into a semi-solid paste. That means the food is now grinded nicely. Yeah, it's been broken down into pieces and it's being again brought back to the third chamber. What is the third chamber? Can you see? This is the food that is being brought into the third chamber. What is the third chamber? Omasum. So after the food is being brought into the third chamber, from the third chamber, the food will now be transferred into the fourth chamber. This little one here, that one is abomasum. And abomasum is known as the true stomach. So abomasum is known as the true stomach. Why it's known as the true stomach? Do you wonder why? Because here this stomach is like more or less like the stomach that we have, like the human stomach, yeah, because it's highly acidic and it secretes all the enzymes and all the foods are be completely digested in the stomach. It's like ours, yeah. So in the previous chambers, like in the, what is the first chamber? The reticulum. So in the previous chambers like the rumen or the reticulum, so what happens, imagine if you bring the food back from your stomach, what will happen? Your stomach is highly acidic, so if you bring the food back to your mouth, if somehow it comes to your mouth, it feels very uneasy, like because it's highly acidic, you will feel the food that's very acidic, very uneasy, your mouth will become uneasy and it's next to impossible, yeah. But the cow, the ruminants, they're able to bring back the food very nicely, very comfortably, because the pH level of those chambers are not high, they are less acidic, in even less, I think the pH level is 6, that is very less, so they do not find it uncomfortable. But the acidic part happens here in the abomasum, and here the food of the ruminants gets completely digested, yeah. After abomasum, the food gets passed from here, the food will now get passed through the small intestine. So the food will slowly move. Can you see the food here? Here. So the food will be passed through the small intestine and their absorption will happen and it will be absorbed, and the undigested food will be removed through the anus, yeah. Okay, so a question may arise in your mind: why have the ruminants developed the habit of chewing cud? Yeah, why do the ruminants have the habit of chewing the cud? They should have done like us, yeah, eat the food directly and the process of digestion will happen. But instead they have the habit of chewing the cud. Why? Because you have already read that the animals like cow, buffalo, sheep and deer are herbivores. Carnivores eat the herbivores as their food. To avoid being caught by the carnivores, the herbivores quickly eat their food. Then they come to the safe place and chew the food. Yeah. So they are very cunning. Can you see? So to save themselves from the carnivores like lions, tigers, yeah, what they do, they will eat their food very quickly, yeah, and then they will run from there and they will hide in a safe place, and after that they will chew their food. Very cunning people, yeah. So what happens to the digested food? Our food requires energy to carry out the various activities of life. We get this energy from the food we eat. This happens during respiration, a process in which an energy is being produced from the digested food. The food which we eat is digested in the alimentary canal, but the alimentary canal alone does not require food. It must go to all parts of the body. How does food reach into the different parts of the body from the head to the feet? In this chapter you have already learned that the digested food is absorbed by the small intestine and passed on to the blood. Through blood, the absorbed food is carried to all parts of the body. So, what happens to the digested food? We have already answered this question, right? So, what happened? We need food for our body. Yeah, we need energy. Yeah, and for energy, we have to eat the food. Yeah, and when we eat the food, after we eat, what happens? Digestion occurs, and when digestion occurs, only digestion will not be sufficient. After digestion, what will happen? Absorption must happen, and when absorption happens, what happen? In absorption, the digested food will be absorbed through various parts of the body. It will be sent through the bloodstream to all parts of the body, to all the cells, and then what will happen? The assimilation will happen, where the cells will use those nutrients in the various activities, and after that what will happen? The undigested food will be excreted through the anus, yeah. So this is the story of the digestion in our body, and here we end our second chapter. I hope you all have understood the chapter nicely. Even if you have any doubts, you have to ask me later. Okay. So here we end the chapter nutrition in animals. Okay, so let's end today's class. I hope you all have understood. Yeah, okay, thank you. Let's meet in the